So here's what the limelight tree looks like. I pruned this about almost a month ago, I think, already. So it's got lots of nice new growth on it. I didn't give it near as big a pruning as I did last year. I didn't need to. All these stems you see at the top were new growth since last year's harder pruning. And so there wasn't too much to take off the top. These are nice strong stems that have developed. So I wanted to show you this damaged stem. And it's not damage from a crossing branch, it's damage because it's old. And this can happen with your trees as they get older. See this all right here? It doesn't look bad because you think, well, it's just the outer bark, but it starts to go inward. And what's going to happen over time is more water is going to seep in. It's just going to get worse and worse. And eventually you can even see down here, you get a good storm and that branch is going to break off. So what that means is I'm going to have to cut this off. If I don't cut it off now, it's going to be harder to see it when it's filled with leaves and flowers. But I have a feeling I will really see it if we get a bad storm and the branch breaks off. So that stem, I'm taking out. So this is the stem that I just cut out. I didn't have my tripod set up, so I couldn't really show you how I was doing it. But I used long-handled loppers, and I'll show you how deep I made the cut, how close to the trunk I made it in a minute. But I wanted to just show you how big this stem is. And you can see a previous cut I made years ago. But let me show you the bottom side, the other side. All right, so here is up close how bad that cut was in the wood. I'm calling it a cut. I don't know, fissure? I don't know what to call it. But look at that. And when you look at where I cut it, you see that brown in the middle? So that's basically showing you that this branch was on its way to die. And if it died down here, but the rest was still growing, I mean, you see the green on the edges of that. It just wouldn't have worked. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty bad. So that had to come off, and it's a shame because this is such a great branch. Now, what I could do if I really wanted to is I could cut this, say, right above this bud right here, and I could plant this. I could cut it anywhere, really, and I could stick this in a pot and see if I can grow another one. I don't know if I'm going to do that because honestly I don't know where I'd have room for another Limelight Hydrangea tree. But that is what I could do. I'll think about it. Not sure. So now let me show you what the other end of the cut looks like. So here is what the cut looks like. Up close and personal. So as you can see, the brown was going up right up the center, and that's where that cut was coming up on this side of that branch. So I cut it as close as I could to the trunk. Doesn't have to be all the way. So over time, this will die off and just become sort of a extra little stump on this larger trunk. Here's an example of one over here. I cut this one years ago, and as you can see, it just kind of gets brown and black and just doesn't do anything else. So that's what can happen over time. You've got to pay attention to these older stems that jut out from the main trunk. And even though they're putting out nice strong stems here, you just got to make sure that there's nothing bad happening. And that's why it's so important to make sure you don't have any crossing branches, because that just aids in the decay of some of this. In fact, you can see right here, you see this? This was another older branch that right up the middle started dying out. And so what I'm left with, I had to cut it in 2 spots this spring. I had to cut it up here and up here because the whole thing split. And again, that was a longer stem. So it happens. But the good news is, it doesn't really affect the shape of the tree too much, and other stems are going to grow out, and so this will be fine. But I'm glad I took it out now rather than waiting for a storm to take it out instead.